us all take a nice deep breath. We've made it this far. And I would like us to take a moment of silence and think about your name, your very own personal name. Think of what it means to you. Think of what it means to the people around you. Now, how many of us, by a show of hands, had a say in choosing their names? 99.9%, we have one person in the audience. The first punch I ever threw in my life was because of my name. Joseph had it coming that day. Well, my full name is Umra Omar Buana. And Joseph was my classmate. This was in standard 2. Decides that it's funny to flip my names and start saying, oh, Bana Umra, Bana Umra. And I lost it and punched the living daylights in his face. I do not condone violence. I just want us to really think of how this thing that we did not have a say in actually is a defining factor of how we walk through the journey of life. And it's not the only thing. How many of us had a say in where we're born? What about our gender? Maybe the beliefs that we were born into? The hue of our skin? All these things are actually circumstances that are beyond our control, but yet dictate part of the journey that's life. So what I want to talk to us about today is how do we interrogate these circumstances that are bestowed upon us in order to fully dissect and either embrace or redefine. Either embrace fully or redefine who you are in order to best serve your world. Because there is no way you can go out in the world and make an impact in whatever you do if you do not have your core self defined. So upon this definition is allow me to kind of step back a little bit and give it a title, which makes the most sense to me. And it's what I'm trying to do right now is to keep calm and put on my bulletproof underwear. Great. So what is this bulletproof underwear that I'm talking about? It's a process that I find as a journey in really interrogating who you are. It's kind of going through all those layers that have been put upon you. The most intimate process that I've ever gone to, from the walls throwing how you have to dress, how you have to look, how you're talking, and all kinds of jargon. So how do we put on a filter and really pick out the things that ring the most true to ourselves? And the whole idea is that it's supposed to be very, very intimate and uncomfortable. It's going to burn bridges, whether it's family, sometimes it's someone it's who you choose to marry. I don't know why everyone has an opinion about who you choose to marry. So it's a variable of factors. Allow me to share with you a story about how my own bulletproof underwear helped with the work that we do at Safari Doctors in helping bring healthcare access to the women that we work with. Safari Doctors, just to give you a backdrop, we are an organization based out of Lamu, and we travel every month delivering healthcare, primary healthcare and veterinary services to remote villages of the Bajuni and the Aware community. You have Kenyans in here. Who knows the Bajuni and the Aware communities? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 jumbo. There's a marginalized indigenous communities up in the northern coast of Kenya, Bajuni and Aware. And what we do is basically primary healthcare services, vaccinations, and maternal care for the mothers and anything that they would get in a dispensary. And what our journey is dictated by various factors. Mara, it's the wind for the sail that dictates how far we can go. Or it's a security issue, something happened in one of the villages, that means we can't go take the road route. It could be resources, and we're like, okay, this time we can go to this many villages versus a certain number. Or it's volunteer doctors. We struggle with issues of per diem, the beautiful Kenyan culture of getting volunteer doctors. So all of these factors is what really takes our journey up. You can see the northern coast, stopping at 2 villages a day, and then we go all the way to the villages by the Somali border up in Kiunga, and then loop back south now through the Boni corridor. So it's just a loop of about 5 days of 3 in the sea and about 2 on land. So as we were getting ready for our March clinic a few months ago, we all come together in the boardroom, every single member of our staff, and it's to start figuring out the logistics, figuring out which route should we take. And as we're doing this, the biggest discussion comes around, should we or should we not go on the road for that clinic or that month? It's something that literally has to be assessed days before we go on. So as the back and forth is going, my eyes kind of just lock into Kalu. Kalu is our head nurse. He's been working in that area for about 20 years, and he was the one who was stationed at the only dispensary on the mainland, and no longer is because of the attacks in 2015. So we share with Kalu this moment of fear of, should we? And then you kind of have to immediately overcome that and think of, okay, let's think about possibilities. Let's not think of the landmines and the attacks. We could choose to focus on that and not do anything, or we could replace that with the faces of the women and the mothers who've not had any access to health for the last few months, where kids are out of date with their vaccinations, and there's absolutely no medical facility in the corridor on land. That over there, I don't know if any of us heard of the incidents where a police truck was blown up with children who were literally going from their village to eat. And they were warned not to get into police vehicles, but they did, because there's no other form of transport. There's about, I think, over a dozen casualties. And down there, I remember we were at a police check, and they're like, oh my God, what's the sign beneath me? And it kind of puts reality into context. But then it's amazing how that can be wiped out by what happens when you actually get to these communities. So as we were packing our, the medicines have to go on the boat because we have to load off every village. Our beloved Captain Fami, who's quite a character himself, he's actually he's like our app for cross-checking everything. You remember every single thing that you have not packed on the boat. So he was like, Omar, are we taking the shells this time? And I was like, oh man. I was almost trying to intentionally forget, and I was a little hesitant. And the shells that Fami was talking about is the organic cup that had been bestowed upon us from one of our benevolent donors. Which brings me to another issue that us women actually have no say in whatsoever. What might that be? No. It's our menstruation. Over 60 days a year, an average woman spends bleeding. That is 6 to 7 years. Imagine that as a fully grown child. 6 to 7 years of a woman's life are spent menstruating. It's about 450 cycles. We have women young girls from the United Kingdom all the way to Kenya that come from low-income families, cannot attend school, have to skip school because they can't afford the sanitary products. Last year, in August 2017 in India, a 12-year-old girl was shamed to death. She took her own life because she was in class and she had a stain of blood on her uniform, and she was called in front of the class. And that was unbearable. This young kid could not bear the embarrassment. So as we've traveled to these communities, that's one of the issues that the women have come up and requested, how can we have sustainable products for us? This is some communities where even salt it can be a luxury at a particular time. And so then we were, Organic Cup got in touch, they donated the 2 boxes of these menstruation cups. So basically it's a cup that replaces the pad. Oh, actually I have one here. Remember when your grandma would reach into her, put it in there. I've been using it as a stress reliever the whole day, going like this, but that's not what it's for. So we got a generous donation of these organic cups, which replace menstruation, sanitary towels, and tampons. And the whole idea is that they're eco-friendly, have a lifespan of about 10 years, and no cost involved. It's a one-time cost. So we're thinking, brilliant. Let's go. All you need to just fold, put it into your palace, and up to 12 hours of the day, you're good to go. And I think everyone's worst day that knew me is the day I discovered this thing. I swear to God, I texted every friend that I know. I went to the office, I got all my female staff workers, and I was like, the way it worked for me and the joy that I felt is subjective. There's some people who wouldn't want to see it, and that's with any product in the world, is that actually it wasn't even female, it was both men and women, because like if you're a man, you must know a woman that could use it. And so we go to this village in Kiangwe, which is a village that we frequent, and there we were, we had translated the materials and downloaded the movie. We're like, this is it. This is like best since sliced bread. And I lived there, and 3 women wanted the cup, out of like dozens of women sitting under the tree with kids speaking. 3. I was just like, that's where you just want to turn around and give up. And so I go back and I was like, why? Like, is it that we're being presumptuous? Is it that, we're coming in with our NGO checkboxes, like this is what we're doing? So there's a lot of questioning, but all that aside, I told Fami, bring the boxes, let's go. Load it onto the boat, and off we went. So we went after 4 days and hundreds of patients along the sea route. We now hit the mainland, go through the first security checkpoint in Kiunga village at the north, on time, on schedule, and everyone's kind of looking forward to the journey. And then we get to the second, there's about like 5-6 checkpoints. Second checkpoint, I swear to God, it was like a movie from Rambo, like a scene from Rambo, where you're waiting, you don't know what's going to happen, and then these heavily armed people rise out of the sandbanks, present our IDs, and we have to get like the security clearance form, cross-check everything. And off we were at Mangai village. Mangai village is where there used to be a dispensary, but since 2015, it's been closed down. So it's, with our trips, you kind of meet all kinds of characters. It's very interesting. There's times that you feel like your heart has been crushed and crumbled, and then there are other times where you feel like life couldn't be better. There's this man who shows up at the clinic, the first guy, and he gives you every single diagnosis you can think of. He starts with a fever, there's no temperature. He's like, but I have diarrhea. But I have it. And actually he's doing it so that he can get medicines for everything, because he doesn't know when the next clinic will be. Then streaming the women now with their children, because we first have to be there and set up before they come and wait. And as the line gets longer and longer, and they're just sitting there, and it's kind of like you start getting a little frustrated because everyone's there at the same time, people are waiting. And this is the moment that what followed, I think, changed my life, at least very, very recently. Somehow I find myself walking to one of the women. Her name is Esha. She seemed like the most vocal one. So I go up to her, she doesn't know me personally, and I'm like, Esha, takakwambia siri, I want to tell you a secret. She looked at me, and the squint in her eyes terrified me. She's like, who is this mad woman who is speaking too close to my ear? And I was like, I want to tell you and the women a secret. And I could tell she was curious, and before I knew it, there was about 8, 9 of us women going to Esha's hut. So we snuggle in, sit tight, and as I was there, I know that I did not carry the pamphlets. I know they won't work. There's no laptop in this situation, because I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew that it wouldn't be a lecture happening. And so I just stood there, I almost possessed, and I was like, I have to give you a warning, Esha. I had to warn them. And I have to warn you guys as well. I asked, can I please take my pants down? And I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, holy crap, what am I doing? And asking, what in bloody heaven is happening right now? No pun intended. And it was too late. My pants were on my knees. My pants were on my knees, and I pulled out the organic cup out of the Royal Gardens, and I was like, this is it. I am using it. This is what it is. This is what it does. We went through the whole brief, and that's us literally in the room, and it was the most intimate female health session I have ever had in my life. I even never got a chat like that from anybody because of how engaging they were. And it was just about it was raw, it was scary, but it's life. And it's unfortunate that some of these critical things in life are the ones that make us squint. Guys, especially for like a Muslim woman from the coast, it's a whole different ballgame. So every single one of the ladies walked out there, and I was like, please do not take it if your kid will be using it as a balloon tomorrow. Like, don't take it, because it's valuable. And the response I got was, if it's working for you, it better work for me. And the next thing I know, even after leaving Aisha's home, is that now there were other women following behind, and unfortunately we had run out. So we're hoping to be able to go back into that. For me, that moment was to be able to be in this room, to be vulnerable. It was perhaps the most, it felt like it was something that I was designed to do. If I reflect back on what I have been bestowed on, I feel like it was my gender that put me in that place. It was my nationality as a Kenyan over there, as a woman, as a mother. Like all these things that were bestowed upon me could be converted into that opportunity and trust between a group of women that felt like they could trust my testimony, that they needed this product. But more than anything, because the difference between this and this, I mean, I was the same identity then as I was in this hut. The biggest difference in that situation was that bulletproof underwear that I had decided I would put it on in this very minute. It was the interrogation of over years. It's not something that has happened to me overnight. It's a battle that happened over years, interrogating, exploring, like from, all that's around you. It's the redesigning of who you are, but that doesn't mean eliminating, what defines who you are. And it was that bulletproof underwear moment where I was like, I felt like I actually made an impact in my community. So the one thing I want us to take away from today is, from the work that we do with Safari Doctors, is relentless innovation. Is that we have to be relentlessly innovative. As the youth, the issues that we're facing today are very different from the issues that our fathers and our forefathers were facing. The issues in Nairobi are very different than somewhere else. So it's how do we all tap into that uniqueness in order to design our own underwear, bulletproof, personal, tough as SH something, and keep moving. And the second point is about the idea of making an impact. We think of it as something very remote. It's not. It's like, it's something that you end up living every day, kind of. It could be in your own home with your kids, it could be at the office, in whatever aspect it is that we are by nature designed to influence. So how do we feed into that more consciously? So my question to you is, right? This is one of my favorite sayings, it literally conceptualizes the idea of making a difference. It means you haven't spent a night with a mosquito if you think a difference is too small. Is that, are you willing to severely dissect what has been bestowed upon you versus what you choose to mold? Is that, are you prepared to be ridiculously comfortable in the most uncomfortable of situation? Literally finding comfort in discomfort. Are you ready to put on that bulletproof underwear? Thank you.